had this year, me and my writing partner, Max, we were able to fully make this audio drama we'd been kind of like talking about and had on the back burner. And since we realized like, well, our schedules just opened up, we were able to finish it, get everybody cast. We fully recorded the entire thing, and now we've started releasing. So
what's the name of your audio drama? What's it about?
So it's called Superhuman Public Radio, or SPR, super. And it's, the way I describe it to people is it's NPR meets the Marvel universe. It's what would public radio sound like if superheroes were real. So
cool.
It's when you listen to it, like you get the news, which tells you about like the state of the world, where, in our first episode, our kind of like, Superman figure, Cosmos, has been arrested by ICE because he's an illegal alien. And, that's something that is like, has like national security implications, because now he's in jail, and kind of everyone's reacting to that. But, I don't know how much American radio listen to, but, there's a program called This American Life, and we have a parody of that called These American Supers. And in the pilot, it's this parody of This American Life, and the episode is about freelance henchmen working in the gig economy. So like, henchmen are now being hired via apps, and like, how has this changed their lives? And it's funny, it's sometimes dramatic, and it's, I love comics. I love how ridiculous they are. I love how silly they are. But as I get older, I kind of, I become less worried about like Spider-Man saving the city. I'm like more worried about like, is he and Mary Jane okay? Like, are they going to get divorced? Like, how does he make money? That's like what interests me. So we're able to kind of tell the stories in between. I like to say it's like the stories that follow between the panels, because it's not, it's not about the powers. It's not about this. It's just like, what would they be like as people? We've got, we have 12 episodes, and there's 2 segments that are unique to each. So we have like all of these varied stories, ranging from like the story about, like who designs secret entrances, like who is that person, like interviews with that folk, that guy. And another, which is, if you ever listen to Car Talk, we've got this thing called the utility belt, and it's a boy genius and a former henchman helping superheroes like fix their gear, and like it always goes wrong, and it's tragic, and it always blows up in their face. But we've put a lot of work into it. Like, if you go to our website, it's entirely presented as in-universe. So it's like winking at you that way. The Twitter accounts, they're like, the rival news station is VLN, which is the Villainous News Network, or Villainous League Network. And they tweet at each other and like harass each other. So we've been trying to like create this, world, so that if you want to kind of escape from hours for, 20 minutes a week, it's, you can. It's been very rewarding. It's like a TV show for your ears.
So how long has it taken you to put this all together, and talk us through the process of creating it?
It's, it's like any project. You have to conceptualize it first. And my partner Max he is definitely a details kind of character guy, while I really love the structure of stories. So it was a lot of, okay, how do we want this to sound? What's this? What are inspirations? And then it's kind of like building, you build the bedrock of, okay, what is this thing? And then we approached, okay, so here's the frame. This is how the show is going to sound. And we had ideas for all the types of programs that would be on it. Like, obviously, we're going to have the news. We're going to have something that sounds like This American Life. We wanted something that sounded like Fresh Air, if you know what that is. And, starting to kind of populate the characters, and then think about like, what are those stories? Like, one of my favorite stories to write in the first season is about a superhero who has faked his own death. But then when he comes back to sort of be like, hey, I'm still alive, he finds out the entire town actually hated his guts. So,
Oh
and a,
wow.
and a lot of our stories kind of started in that way. Like Max wrote a story about, someone who was rescued, and there was a photo taken of this man, and it became like a meme. And like, what would that happen? What would that do to someone's life? And
Oh,
it's
well, you mean just like how would becoming a meme change someone's life?
yeah, and change this person's life, especially when you're like
Ah,
famous for getting rescued. And
interesting.
obviously with this like Cosmos storyline, we did a lot of research into immigration law in the United States, because at least earlier when we were writing this, it was like, wow, it seems like the deportation of Americans is really going to be a huge story. Obviously, like, the
Mm.
American news cycle is just a bag of trash on fire rolling down a hill at this point. There's no way you can predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
To get back, to in kind of what I was talking about with building the show up, it's just kind of one of the reasons why we took on this project is both me and Max want to write for TV. He also wants to direct. I don't have the attention span for that. So, uh, and it was figuring out, okay, how to plot the story kind of like throughout the season and make sure it was engaging, and who appears where. And it was interesting because we wrote the entire thing. We were able to go back, because typically, like TV shows they'll have a loose outline of the whole season. They'll start writing episodes, but then they'll start the production. So, they're racing to finish the season while this like moving train that will not stop is
Yeah.
chasing after them. So we made a very conscious decision, like, all right, we're going to write everything. We were able to grab a lot of actors and do read throughs, so we could kind of figure out like, this story is terrible, we have to rewrite it, or this one's working really well, or maybe pairs better here. And since we were able to record or to write everything, then we were able to kind of go back, tinker, make it what we wanted it to be, and then we were able to just record everyone at once. So we spent 2 weeks recording people remotely, kind of exactly a way like we were doing right now. This is what we did. He directed people over Zoom, and they
Oh.
recorded natively. They sent it to us, so we were able to keep everybody safe in the time of COVID. And it was interesting because we were able to work with actors across the United States. Like, I don't know how many audio dramas you listen to, but usually they'll have like a cast of like 12 people who have
Hmm.
very, plastic voices. And we have a lot of incredibly talented actors on the show, but we have a cast of 50 playing
Oh.
100 characters. So it's actually like, the scale of it is very big. Um, he's got, I've got like on my wall over here, I mean, obviously the listener can't hear, but this is the plot of the first season,
Wow.
laid out on cards.
I love how organized it is. That makes me very happy.
Have to, oh my God. Um, Max in his office, you'll see there's a map of the United States that has pins of where our stories are to make sure that it's like kind of spread out.
Hmm.
And once we were able to do that, like we've got like our theme music was originally composed by Rock Lee, who's a local DC composer. We got really great themes for two of our other shows from a musician named Steven Muniz in North Carolina. You know, without COVID, I don't know if we were going to be able to kind of collect
Hmm.
all of this talent in one place as easily as we did, um, which is a blessing in disguise. Obviously, if I had the choice, COVID would never happen. This is terrible. I hate it. But